Welcome everyone to the 163rd edition of the Nuthouse podcast. I am your host Andy Patterson. Up today I've got Dave the Hater, award-winning Steve Wellens, Alex Morris, Tommy Allen and Donny Baseball. I think that's all the lads. Adam and Paul have went from men to minges. They went out on St Valentine's Day dinner. Well, the real men here sit and talk boxing. There's been a fair bit of news over the course of the week, topped off by today's announcement about 2 hours ago. But before we do get to that, let's get a response from the award-winning Steve Wellens. Steve, mate, you copped a fair bit of criticism during the course of the last week by a vicious online troll. But being the gentleman that you are, you never responded, and now the Irish boxing community have bestowed upon you this honour. Share with us the pride that you felt last Saturday receiving that award, mate, and quelling the troll stone dead.
Yeah, great pride, Andy. Thanks. I just had to keep my head in the face of all this adversity. Obviously, being associated with Brian King's bad for your reputation, but I'd like to share the award with Brian. So thanks, Brian.
Well done.
Well done, mate.
Just shows you how it's done, eh? Now, on to the main talk. It's come through that Anthony Joshua will be the second Olympic medalist from the 2012 Games to challenge for a world title of sorts as he faces off against Charles Martin at the O2 Arena in London on April 9th. Now, we did mention last week, why would Eddie Hearn not want to make that fight? Even if it meant, making slightly less money, I suppose. Is Martin cashing out? I mean, some people seem to be thinking that. It's a first voluntary defence and he's come to the UK to make it, so obviously he must be getting some decent wedge for coming out here. I think the majority of us are happy with it. I'm happy to see it. Step up of sorts, but to be honest, I haven't really seen much of Martin guys to kind of really give a proper opinion, so I need the Yanks input for this one. But I think roughly they're the same height. Martin's a southpaw, so it brings something different to the table for AJ. And so far as well, 2016 so far keeps to be churning out these surprise fights without the bullshit, so long may it continue. Now, the one thing is, once he picks up this title, which I think he will do, I hope it's a march to try and collect the rest of the belts instead of floating on the outside with the IBF mandatories and fighting these type of guys. But even though the Kalas Takam fight might get made sometime later on this year, which is a fight I would like to see. But Alex, you surprised at this announcement, mate?
Well, not really. I think that I sort of anticipated it because when the IBF belt became vacant, I think we all pretty much assumed that Eddie Hearn, being the man that he is, would obviously go for the easiest route to a world title. We knew that the IBF belt would be contested between Glaskov and Martin, and either of those guys when that fight was going to be go down. We thought that neither of them were really going to be a world championship caliber. And it was a bit of a surprise that even Martin won that, and in the end it was a very hollow victory, in that I suppose, he won by injury. It was a bit embarrassing, but in the end it doesn't really surprise me that Hearns chased this fight down, and that should have been his goal from the onset. I don't know if his initial goal was to make this fight for April. I mean, we heard plans for Chisora to be in April, but I think he's been messing about or been messed about with for the European title against Lenius. There's obviously been the Hay and Fury fights that have been out there, but I think Hearn knocked those back pretty quickly. So in the end, it was Martin that seemed the obvious choice. Eddie Hearn rarely gets his checkbook out, but he seems to have magically found it this time and brought over Charles Martin, and I'll give him credit for that. That this is what he should be doing, and this is what this is the biggest opportunity, the best opportunity he'll get, the biggest reward to risk ratio going anywhere in the sport at the moment. Charles Martin is completely unproven, completely untested, and a lot of people, rightly so, believe that Anthony Joshua will spark him out. Maybe we're being a bit presumptuous on Martin. We haven't seen anything of him properly, and likewise, we haven't seen very much of Joshua yet. But what we have seen, a lot of people obviously lead that conclusion that Joshua will end him. But you mentioned the fact that Martin's a southpaw. That adds in that extra, mystery, because obviously Joshua's never fought a southpaw before. Sorry, YouTube seems to have got an error, but I don't know if this is still recording or not.
Hang on, mate.
Is anyone else getting an error, or is it just me?
I'm getting the error.
Right, fuck's sake.
No, it's fine, mate. On you go.
All right, I'll crack on. Hopefully that didn't interrupt things too much. Yeah. Um, you know, I'm glad this fight happened because what I think what it's going to lead to, and hopefully is what it's going to lead to, is Joshua actually getting better fights, being pushed into it. Hopefully we don't get this tired old routine of, or he's still learning, he's still got a lot more to do, lot more to experience because he's going to be a world champion, or what we think he's going to be is a world champion anyway. And from then on out, he needs bigger fights. He needs the tougher fights. He needs to live up to what a world champion is. The cynical side of me, what I'd usually assume it would be that he's not going to do that. He's just going to fight absolute dross and rake in as much money as possible. But hopefully, having the belt will force the issue of him having tougher fights.
Dave, Donny, can you add anything into Charles Martin? I mean, has he got anything whatsoever? I mean, I say I can only go off the 4 rounds I've seen against Glasgow, and even that was pretty limited. So, have you guys seen anything of him that you think Joshua's got problems with?
I don't even think he's been on American TV, and even the few fights that are on YouTube, I mean, they're against such limited opposition that it's kind of really hard to tell, because people typically don't show all their arsenal and all their skills when they're in there against record padding type opponents. Usually they're trying to stop them, get the KO, and put some wins on their record. I think as I was saying earlier on the forum, there's oftentimes rumblings, at least, on the sparring circuit, that somebody is really talented, and just wait till that person gets their shot, and you'll see that they are pretty talented. Now, there hasn't really been so many such rumblings about Martin, but you never know. I mean, it's really hard to tell. I think, and I also want to disagree a little bit. I mean, I actually think that Joshua is still learning, and I don't think that that's a cop-out position. But the problem is that when these titles come along and the opportunity presents himself, I think you do have to take it. It isn't the ideal time for him to take it, but he can't really turn it down, because these belts sometimes, you want to just grab them when you can get them, because you don't know when someone else is going to grab them and then maybe hold it hostage. I wouldn't have a problem if he wanted to take on like guys like a Takam or like a Povetkin or something like that before he unified. But the thing is that when you don't get the learning fights once you get the title, because then you'd have to risk losing that title. So what happens is that instead of fighting the guys that would actually progress them, instead of fighting the guys that they should fight before they get to that title level, they end up fighting guys that are far, far, far below that level. And, you end up with, guys you never heard of that somehow bizarrely have a number 15 ranking with, one of the sanctioning bodies. And that's what they end up fighting. And then they don't learn anything from that. And then they just milk it until, they fight somebody legitimate, go for a big money unification, things like that. So, I mean, if it's a choice between fighting nobodies or fighting the big unifications like the Fury or the Fury fight or whatever, obviously I hope we get that fight. But I mean, I could see him milking it for a little while. I mean, I think that's just a reality that we're going to have to accept. And also, I'm not surprised Eddie Hearn took the checkbook out either, because it's pretty easy to pull out the checkbook when you got pay-per-view sales against Dillian White of like what did he sell, 400,000? So, I mean, imagine.
One thing I do know that Eddie Hearn should be doing is, if Joshua wins this fight, he should be giving a big bouquet of flowers to Cathy Doover for forcing the politics in this fucking fight, because he's potentially sitting on an even bigger fucking gold mine.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, really, like the stars really fell into line for him, didn't it? But yeah, I mean, like I think that in some ways though, this is kind of dangerous. There's not a lot of footage on Martin. Nobody really knows anything about him, and he can't even tell like from his title fight, because he got the title under such strange circumstances that, I mean, who knows with the southpaw? I mean, it could be interesting. I mean, I'm not willing to count the guy out immediately already, just because I don't have any evidence to count him out. I just don't have any evidence to think he'll do anything spectacular either. But it's weird. It's like fighting one of those South American guys that you never heard of. Like, you just don't know.
He's a question mark, like Gary Cornish.
Oh God.
I've not seen much of Martin myself. One thing to note about him is I think he's patient, perhaps too patient sometimes, but it's a positive and a negative. So he'll wait for the shot. He won't just run in there and flail. I'm not counting him out either, and I don't think they intend to be cashing him out here. I think he believes and his team believes he can win, and I think he's going to show up to win. Whether he can against somebody with Joshua's athletic gifts, I don't know, because Martin doesn't seem the fastest guy. He does hit pretty well, but he's not particularly fast. Has decent timing. So we'll just have to see how the fight goes. I'm glad we're not getting stuck with that Chisora shit. That would have been just a time waster. This is actually advancing Joshua's career, advancing the sport. As for the title belt itself, I mean, the IBF just lost complete respect when they stripped Fury and made it between two nobodies for their version of what they see as the heavyweight champion of the world, which is just absurd. So the IBF can suck a dick, but otherwise it's a good fight.
You really, I mean, I don't know if it's true or no, but obviously Martin was apparently demanding, was it $3 million? Do you think Hearn has really went in that deep for this $3 million?
Like I said, I mean, you could make it worth your while once you have that belt, though, with the defenses.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I know what you mean, but maybe, we did say it last week, surely, this would be the one opportunity you want to take, either take a loss or take less money just to get the fucking belt, because, if Joshua picks it up, it's just going to be fucking stratosphere time.
Exactly. I mean, this fight alone, I think, will be absolutely monstrous on pay-per-view. And that'll probably cover the costs of Martin in the first place, let alone, if Eddie's out of pocket a little bit, he knows he's going to make it back with the very next fight. Anthony Joshua's first defense of his world title against fucking Audley Harrison is going to go fucking berserk, isn't it?
Frank Bruno.
Are we really giving the fans that little credit? I mean, is Joshua going to go in the stratosphere for having this paper belt? Like, what's the big deal?
Oh, I
he is the biggest name in boxing over here right now. Bar no one.
Are people going to fall for it? Like, are they going to say, "Wow, he's champion"? Like, are people that
line and sinker, buddy?
Absolutely, they know. I think
Dave,
people a bit more in the know.
Because you also have the heavyweight champion over there right now.
Yeah, but they have no respect for Fury. This is the point. None of them they either think that Fury pushed out against Vlad and ran away, like they think that Floyd ran away from Manny, or they think that Fury is just a jippo who's scared of Joshua and his time is coming and he's running away from the Joshua fight. They give Fury no credit whatsoever because they're fucking clueless.
It's true.
Once Joshua's got this belt, it's all going to be about, well, Joshua's the world champion and Fury's running scared, Wilder's running scared. Just like Eddie Hearn plays it with Kell Brook at the moment. All the other titleists are running scared. Everyone's scared of Kell Brook in the welterweight division. He's not going to have to lift a finger because all the fucking idiots and spastics out there are going to believe him.
Well, I guess we got to keep doing our job and informing the public.
The Sky Hyperbole went overdrive after this, won't it? I think Joshua, I've seen Mark a couple of times. I've seen a bit of him on YouTube, and obviously I watched his last fight with Glasgow. He's pretty much the trickiest part of him is going to be a southpaw, but he's slow, he's basic. He looks like he's maybe got a wee bit of power, but Anthony Joshua should take him 2 or 3 rounds. And after that does happen, obviously, with this, as I say, the Sky stuff, Eddie Hearn's obviously the main promoter on Sky. They're geared towards Eddie Hearn's fighters. It's just going to go into overdrive with Anthony Joshua. It's going to be all about him. We've got the heavyweight champion here, who's obviously Tyson Fury, but as Alex says, it's all going to just be geared towards AJ and fuck everybody else, yeah?
Definitely. I mean, you saw the reaction he got after he fucking beat Klitschko. I mean,
yeah.
I dare say, I don't know about the mainstream press, because I didn't really read it, actually, in all honesty, but I would say that the vast majority was actually negative towards Fury after he won that fight.
Well, they're too busy.
We need David Tate to save the heavyweight division, because David Tate he's going to fucking throw Anthony Joshua. David Tate is good at that. He's going to throw him and he's going to get that fight, and he's going to fucking knock Anthony Joshua out. He's going to win the IBF title, and then at least it's going to be in the hands of somebody who's proven to be credible over the years, a really credible fighter in David Hay.
Just on the topic of that prick, David Hay, actually. Right, he has been out the ring now for 3 years, right? He comes back and he fights a fucking club fighter at best, right? Maybe a fucking guy who's standing on a fucking door.
Well, it's one of his former sparring partners, isn't it?
Beats Demore, how do you get this? And he gets a number 12 ranking with the WBC. According to their rules, he is now in line now. If it ever come up to fight, he would actually be sanctioned and cleared to fucking fight Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
Huh? How the fuck does that happen?
I
It's
don't
actually
agree. I don't agree with either, but it's obviously DVT's a big draw, isn't he? So
Fuck
they've
yeah.
obviously they've fired him in there, haven't they? What,
I hope they make that fight because we know Wilder sparked him in sparring.
Questionable.
Sometimes you get that YouTube link's coming up saying they've got an error on it and stuff like that, but the listeners are saying there's no problem with it.
Fuck knows.
What the fuck's going on? Just we'll try and get some of these Twitter questions in here actually, because obviously quite a fair bit is relating to Martin Joshua. Steve, first question, Emily Rogerson, do you think it's a poor fight, Martin versus Joshua, knowing that the real IBF champion is Fury? Martin cashing out, he's a fake champion.
Well, I think there's an element of both of those things. First of all, the IBF stripping Fury just provides the perfect narrative, doesn't it, to legitimise this belt in everyone's eyes. It was taken away from Fury. Joshua's winning it legitimately. They'll be able to spin that narrative, so I don't think there's a problem there. Regarding Martin, he's a surprise title holder. Yeah, he probably is cashing out. Can he withstand too many title defences? Probably not. They probably don't know enough about him. He probably doesn't know that much about himself at any decent level. So they're just handing the belt over for a huge payday in my eyes. I mean, looking at Joshua, Wilder set the blueprint for a world champion. It's not necessarily sink or swim anymore when you get a world title. Now you don't have to necessarily operate at the highest level. And I can just see Joshua maybe defending against a Takam, a voluntary, a Tepe level type guy, a Ustinov, Hellenius. I've got the ratings in front of me, Cunningham, Brazil. There's all these options. They could get 3 huge ticket sales, pay-per-views out of the way before they even have to fight the likes of a Hay or Fury. And the fact that the IBF force the mandatories as well is just sweet music to Eddie and company, because they'll just be able to hide behind that as well. So, yeah, I think it just makes sense for everybody. I don't blame them for taking this fight. The alternative for a long time was understood it was going to be a Chisora. So for Wilder, for Martin, sorry for all his surprise, we don't know anything about him. I'm happy to see him in the ring against Joshua and see what he brings, what he offers, and I fully expect Joshua to knock him out probably early on. I don't blame any of the parties involved for taking this fight whatsoever, to be honest.
Just trying to kind of siphon through this. Alex Jamie Hughes, how long will we have to wait to see Fury versus Joshua once Joshua beats Martin? It's going to be next year at least, eh?
Well, if that, I mean, it depends what happens with Fury as well. I mean, what fights is he going to take? Is he still going to be a champion then? I mean, anything can happen. Vlad might actually just beat him in the rematch. Wilder might chin him. I seriously doubt that. I think Fury probably beats them both quite easily. But obviously, if Fury doesn't have those belts, and unfortunately, he's irrelevant to Joshua. I think. It's not going to be nearly as big of a fight, and too much of a risk probably for Hearn to even try to make that fight. But if Fury keeps hold of his belts, maybe end of next year, maybe that'll be Eddie Hearn's big Wembley fight. Because I can't see the old Brooke Khan fight happening too soon. But there you go.
What is going on with Fury right now? Last I heard, he was having difficulty negotiating the Vlad rematch. Is that happening or what?
Well, he tweeted last night that he came back to London and he's got massive news about a massive fight happening soon. Whether or not that's a fight with him, whether or not it's a fight to do with Huey, no one really knew. It was very cryptic, or maybe he's just having a troll, maybe he's having a laugh, but I heard rumours that Vlad might be retiring, Vlad might be letting him have a voluntary, but, it's all speculation at this point.
Vlad's retiring and Vitali's coming back to fight Fury.
Yeah. Let Big Brother sort out his shit again.
Well, that's usually
Wait,
when Vlad gets beat, Vitaly takes care of his unfinished business.
Yeah. Wait, now, see, how many pay-per-views we're talking about now between now and May? This will be pay-per-view definitely, won't it?
4.
4. So that's Frampton. The Ring Can will be on pay-per-view. I mean, that's on like 4 o'clock in the morning, man.
It'll be pay-per-view.
That'll be pay-per-view, yeah. I'd say so.
Khan, Fury, no, Khan, Joshua, Quigg, that's 3 in it. Who's the other one? Fury.
AJ.
Yeah, this will be pay-per-view as well.
Kilbrook.
Nah, that's on regular Sky, I think, mate. It's on regular Sky.
Is that regular Sky, that fight? Thank fuck.
Josh Wellington should be pay-per-view, really.
He ducked Diego Sanchez.
Dave, seeing how's you're a resident hater, who's the more legit champion, Charles Martin, Scott Quigg, or Liam Smith? That's from Rob, by the way, that question.
None of them are legit, but I guess I'll judge them on best resume, and I'll give that to Scott Quigg. It's pretty absurd. Like, there's this guy who none of us have really seen. The best stuff you can get out of him is on YouTube, and those 3 rounds he kind of plotted around with an injured Glaskov, and he is the heavyweight champion of the world. And we can't even, like, nobody's seen him fight. It's just crazy.
There's many questions that I thought there was relating to this.
I have a couple, Andy, if you want me to throw them out.
Fire away.
Right, first one, this would have done our resident betting guru, Adam Smith, but I know a few of you like a gamble and stuff, so this is from Daryl Jelly. He says, has there ever been a challenger for a heavyweight belt that's been such a massive favourite? I have seen odds of 1 to 10 of AJ winning. I just want to add, I'll be backing Martin to win by KO at 15 to 2. I'm so glad the UK bookmakers are as casual as Eddie and the Twitter following. So Joshua apparently is a massive favourite with the bookies.
Vladimir's had some wide odds though, hasn't he, over the years? That Pianeta fighting that, he was like 60 to 1.
60.
Yeah, but no, he's talking about when a challenger was so heavily favored.
Well, sorry, a challenger.
I mean, are we only talking
challenger? I remember Gerald McClellan being a heavy favourite.
Tyson Bruno too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
McClellan against Ben.
That was what, 3 to 1 though. That one, I think.
Well, when Roy Jones fought the guy who won by DQ, what's his name?
Montel.
Yeah.
Mayweather Victor Ortiz, maybe.
Montel Griffin.
Yeah. Right, well, there you go. Hold on, I've got one more for you as well on this particular subject. This is also on Facebook from Liam Wynn. Throw it out to everybody. Do the pods see Joshua's fight with Charles Martin as a win-win situation? If he loses, it'll be spun that he wasn't ready. If he wins, he's the champ. But I'll match him, overlooking the issue of matching him after if he wins. So, I mean, well, we spoke about the matching, didn't we? I don't think the matching if he wins will be a problem, but...
you heard Eddie Hearn himself, mate. You heard him what he said. He says, he'll maybe not be the best fighter that the Britain's ever seen, and be the best fighter that the world has ever seen. So Anthony Joshua's going to fucking kill all before him. We all know this. Eddie Hearn's told us.
He can't turn around and say that he wasn't ready, though. Surely, would they have the brass neck to say that?
Probably.
Of course they will. They'll say, "Oh, he's only a 16-fight novice or whatever he is."
We'll mark it down to experience.
Of course, yeah. We'll say, oh, Martin was a southpaw, he was an unknown quantity, no one really knew much about him, or it was a lucky shot, blah, blah, blah. Plenty of shite ready to cover up the tracks.
We've got Adam Smith in freshly off his date with his missus. Adam.
Hello.
What's that, man? Where, you in the car, mate? You in the back seat of the taxi with her? Sticky finger time.
I'm in the car. Hey, AJ! Come on, AJ!
Sticky finger time, is it?
Hey, I'm plumbing. You've got to give him credit.
You're plumbing?
Fight. Hey?
You're plumbing?
Oh, no, I've done all that. It's finished. No, you've got to give him credit for making this fight after 15 fights or whatever it is. There's only been a pro for 2 years. Obviously, the championship belt, the IBF, is a mess. I'm not getting away from that. And Charles Martin is shite. Not getting away from that. But, it's the matchmaking. It makes all sorts of sense because the hype will be absolutely unbelievable, and me and Paul will love every minute of it.
Adam's in the back
seat. See what Alex has got to say.
Adam's in the back seat with his missus, and this is the one time we want him to turn the camera on, and he won't.
Come on, Adam, do it.
Alex, what you got to say about it?
You have to listen back to the pod to hear my views on it.
Well, I'm happy with the fight. I've got to say I'm happy enough with the fight. I really don't know much about Charles Martin though, other than the fact that he's roughly the same size, bit of power about him, and he's a southpaw, so it might cause AJ some problems. So certainly, I'm thinking a little bit for a few rounds.
This is answering a question, I think, another question that we've got, but it's basically how would people view this fight if it wasn't for the belt? and obviously it's a really good fight for both guys. You know, both of them, it's probably, obviously a step up, more of a step up for Martin. You could argue fighting Joshua. But again, is that unknown quantity for both? It's a real sort of crossroads fight. It's what you want to see, but the politics of the belt and all the nonsense behind it just mars the fight a little bit, and it does cause upset. And you can't ignore the belt, because that's the only reason this fight was made. Because if the belt wasn't involved, this fight would not be made. Neither man would have taken the risk, and that's the sad part about it.
Dave, you were talking about earlier on there, you were asking the question about how big is AJ. Like, I'll just read this out to you. This is Eddie Hearn, a few years back on this fight, and I quote, "Life is all about taking opportunities, and when the chance to become heavyweight champion of the world presented itself, there was no holding Anthony back. He wants to give the fans something to get excited about, and he wants to become great. And even though the decision among the team took a week or so, I believe his mind was already made up from the moment I asked him. It's a complete honour to promote an event of this magnitude. I believe it's one that will go down in the history of sport." That is the shite we're going to be getting between now and fucking April.
Well, plenty of fodder for Belly of the Week.
Remember when Don King got the scepter and the crown for fucking Mike Tyson?
Aye, Mike Tyson.
Imagine what Eddie Hearn's going to do here, man. He's going to hear thrown and everything. He's going to like the old style WWE King of the Ring when he wins this fight, man.
It is a strange old game, though, isn't it? Take away the belt and take away the Glasgow fight, really. If Charles Martin was put forward as Anthony Joshua's opponent on April the 9th before that IBF title fight, I mean, we'd be flipping screaming up the walls, really, wouldn't we, like, about him as an opponent?
Adam, I've got a question for you, mate. For Shep, he's asking, will you tell your grandchildren about seeing Charles Martin?
I didn't actually say that, Shep. When I was at the O2 Arena, someone said that to me. I've never said that. I was thinking about it last week. Like, I thought Charles Martin might give AJ. Well, AJ will be favourite and AJ should win. But I thought, it won't be as straightforward as a knockover job. But then I thought about it today. Charles Martin's never been in a proper fight. I mean, he fought Tom Dallas less than a year ago. AJ is just going to come out, and I think it'll be dead quick. I think Charles Martin will be in his shell pretty quickly. AJ wins, and the whole of British sport goes into meltdown, and I can't wait.
But Adam, Joshua fought Gary Cornish less than a year ago.
Oh, no, I'm not saying Joshua's got a brilliant record. I'm not saying that, but I just thought, Martin, he rivals him for size. He's a southpaw, carries a bit of a dig. But then I thought he's never faced anything like, he's never been, say, the underdog for a fight. Neither has Joshua, to be fair. But I just see him shying away and getting stopped, bent over like David Price almost in the corner. Had enough of the barrage of pretty uneducated punches after a couple of rounds, to be fair.
Adam, you're breaking out a wee bit, mate, but just in case you do break away or anything like that, just give us a quick summary about the Floyd Mayweather event. It was in Nottingham or something like that. Your mate went to a complete and utter farce by the sounds of it. Yeah, a friend from work paid 70 quid for a ticket to see Floyd Mayweather in Sheffield. The room within the venue got changed 3 times. Firstly, I think they were struggling to sell tickets. Then he got to a smaller room. Then he went to a medium room. So it meant that my friend who paid 70 quid for a ticket had no better view or angle or was no further away than anyone who paid 60 or 50 quid. So they was all in together. Floyd was an hour and 40 minutes late. So they had to listen to Johnny Nelson waffling for much of that hour and 40 minutes. The question and answer session didn't exist because no customers asked for or answered any questions. Johnny was just having the rehearsed chat with Floyd that, humble team, blah, 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 blah. And then the only people that got to have pictures were the people that paid VIP, which I think was 400 quid. Brilliant.
What a prick.
Yeah.
It's a joke, absolute joke.
Terrible. Right, let's get back to some of these questions here. Tommy, Sam ATR is asking, which fight in history was given the most gift decisions? Some of the Germans got to be up right up there.
Sven Otkos is one that springs to mind.
No.
Springs to mind straight away, isn't it? If you go through Otkos raising...
Danny Garcia, yeah.
I should have a couple as well. If you go through Otkos raising, there's obviously Glenn Johnson. That was one that most people spoke about. There's fucking Charles Brewer. I think we discussed that. I thought you disagreed there, Steve, didn't you? You thought Locker beat Brewer, didn't you? Was it you, Steve?
No, it wasn't Brewer. I was arguing the other day with someone about the Robin Reed fight, though. I thought Otka beat Reed. I thought the controversy lay in the referee's performance and the fact that Reed didn't get a knockdown. I thought Otka still won the fight. I didn't think Otka got that many gifts during his career, to be honest.
Well, see, a fight that I think that almost was David Starry. I thought it was that fight. You see the Reed fight. I can agree with you there. I thought the Reed fight was very close, and it was probably the referee that was bullshit there. But
Yeah, I agree with Story, Tommy. Yeah.
So Sven Otka probably.
Just I think some names myself actually. Some of these scorecards you were getting in the 80s, and that's especially places like France and Italy and that, like you're getting scorecards like 118 and 116 and stuff like that. It's complete and utter fucking jokes.
Yeah.
If you had more time to think about it, there'd be a few, wouldn't there? You'd be able to come up with like Garcia, like Donny says. That was the first one that sprang to my mind, actually.
Chris Eubank had one or two, didn't
he? Yeah.
Hi, fucking hell.
I suppose one fighter actually, no suppose who had the most gift decisions. One fighter who I was always a fan of actually just announced his retirement, and he's had a few dodgy decisions go against him. Gabriel Campillo, very underrated technician in the light heavyweight. I think the draw on his record against Caro Mura, that was the definite one. I thought the scorecards in the Tavares Cloud fight, that was a fucking travesty. How the fuck?
Humanov as well.
Yeah, they was at 115, 111 to 116, 110 to Cloud in that fight. That's a fucking
ridiculous.
That was a really good fight aside from those cards too.
I think he took Kovalev. Was it something like 3 days or 3 weeks notice or something? I think it was 3 days notice. Okay, he lasted it 3 rounds. He deserved more than what he got, I suppose.
Yeah, he just flew in the day before the Kovalev fight, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
He actually arrived in the day they were in, which is fucking crazy when you're cutting weight.
Well, he just retired this week as well, I think.
Yeah, that's the reason why I brought it up, because after getting beat off Kovalev, you thought that was his career finish, and then he goes in against Finfara. He's basically, I think he's winning the fight by about 2-3 rounds, or sorry, 2-3 points, and he gets stopped in the 9th round. There, it was just, I was like, bastard. You just wonder if the guy was going to keep coming, and then he beat that. At that time, Thomas Williams Jr. He was quite, highly touted at the time. Though was he Dave Verdoni? He was 17-0 at the time. He made him quit or something after 5 rounds, and he's fighting for Kerbiev.
I was delighted with that, because that Thomas Williams Jr. attacked me on Twitter maybe a year or two ago when I had to be slagging Mayweather off or something, and he actually swore at me. So props to Campillo for that one.
He's to be fighting Edwin Rodriguez next. 2 guys who had like sort of knockdown, drag-out slugfests last year are now fighting each other. So that's a decent matchup, I think.
Or Edwin. Edwin's a friend of the podcast, isn't he? Hope he wins.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Another guy who has like consistently suspect scores. This is a judge. Check on BoxRec and just watch this guy. Look at this guy's cards. Robert Hoyle.
Yeah. What about Don Trella?
Yeah.
We're going to get him on the podcast one of these days, Don Trella.
We have to grill him. A good grilling. Yeah.
Get him under the spotlight. Robert Hoyle, is that the black guy? The black referee?
No, Robert Bird, are you thinking of, Andy?
Must be 2 Robert Hoyles then. Must be 2 Robert Hoyles, huh?
Don't know.
He's a kind of young guy, eh? And he's maybe, late 30s or something like that?
Yeah, middle-aged.
Right, I'll keep a wee look for his scorecards. I forget who sent us in this question. Cheers anyway, mate, for sending it in. But will Sky want Canelo versus Khan? Does the panel think it's a standalone pay-per-view? And if not, bearing in mind the existing schedule of fights, which matchroom fighter or fighters would be paired up on an earlier show to garner the maximum buys? Also, prediction of how many. Pity Paul wasn't here to answer this one.
I think it will be. I think they'll put it standalone. I don't think they'll even worry about stacking it up with people to try and gather maximum buys. I think they'll just put it on pay-per-view, and away you go. I don't think they even care.
I think May the 7th will be the epitome of boxing shitness, because I think we're going to get 2 pay-per-views on 2 platforms on the same night, and that would be horrific.
Do you really think they would do that?
Yeah, I think they'll do that. Yeah, of course they would. I reckon that could be Box Nation's debut pay-per-view, because they'll claim that it doesn't clash directly with Canelo and Khan. Obviously, because it's a different time. I think that we could easily see 2 different pay-per-views.
Could it also be like, doesn't Frank Warren have access to like regular Sky now, not Sky Sports, due to pay-per-view?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I reckon that'll be the Box Nation pay-per-view. Because Sky have got no interest in the middleweight division anyway. So, Matchroom have got no interest in the middleweight or even light middle, whichever frigging way it is nowadays. They've got no interest.
Hang on. So what's going to be which pay-per-view then? Sorry, are you saying?
So I envisage Sky Sports and Eddie and the boys having Fury Klitschko. If Fury Klitschko, I'm talking as if it's signed. I don't know. And then I think the Box Nation pay-per-view with his new, Sky box office or whatever he calls it. I reckon that'll be Box Nation, Canelo and Khan.
They don't have any.
I mean, but won't now the Fury and Klitschko rematch isn't really signed and set yet. I mean, we know it's happening. We know it has to happen contractually. But I mean, wouldn't they want to maybe potentially think about just moving it to a different date because they know that they both.
They would,
You think they would?
Try to move. Yeah, I think they would move it. Yeah, to be fair. I mean, I don't know how far down the line they are. If we're talking outside venues, especially football stadiums, then in early May they might not. And although coming to the end of the football season, they might not have that much leeway with the venue. So it depends how far down the line they are with May the 7th.
How many buys we talking about then? Maximum wise?
For Canelo?
Yeah.
I'll say 500,000 because it's obviously during the night. I'll go for that.
Okay.
500,000?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Think so?
That's a massive fight, yeah.
And 4 in the morning?
Well, if you it's less than half of what Ricky Hatton done, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they change the prices, like, I would consider getting that fight. I mean, if I don't know why every fight has to be like $59, $69 for HD. Like, it's just, why can't you lower the prices for fights that are lesser magnitude? Don't they do that elsewhere besides the United States?
Well, everything's about 20 quid. Well, what is it, £17? £16.95 something?
£19.95 is it not?
$19.95 now, eh?
Right.
Yeah, so that's about $30.
Hmm.
Yeah, we paid double that, so yeah.
That's because you are fucking minges.
Put like $20. Put this card on for $20, and
I'll
I think you'll get more.
FaceTime it to you, Dave. I'll FaceTime it to you.
Right, next question. Tommy Mad Max asks, whose reign of terror is worse? Canelo Alvarez at 154, Jurgen Bremer at 175, Kell Brook at 147, or Peter Sutcliffe in the 1970s?
Oh, that's a bit fucking... I like that one. Canelo's got a pretty good 154 resume, to be honest.
Late on in the 154.
Aye, so you can't really argue with that, but you've got to see fucking Kell Brooks there, and Mad Jurgens is a close second, but I feel a wee bit insulted as a fan of Canelo Alvarez that this Mad Max would put him in that sort of company. Canelo's got a good wee resume. Max, you're a prick.
Alex Boxing Banter, has Stormzy been booked yet to wrap Joshua to the ring? Also, who wins if White fought Martin now?
Really good question. Fucking hope not, because that Stormzy's a fucking knobhead. Hopefully he gets hit by a bus along with Joe Gallagher. That's a good question, actually, thinking about it. I mean, White himself is a bit of, again, an unproven aspect, I suppose. I mean, in the run-up to the April fight, when Chisora was being floated around as a name, I always said that Chisora versus White would actually be, a very equal 50-50 fight, and, basing it around, would Chisora beat Martin, or at least have a tough fight with Martin? And I think Chisora would really give him a good go, so I'd have to say that, again, White would, I can't confidently say he'd beat him, but I certainly think he'd give him a very good go. Certainly a more equal-looking fight than Femi versus Martin's going to be. Hopefully White isn't just pushed aside and forgotten about as just a vanquished enemy. Hopefully Hearn continues to promote and improve him, because I think there's something to be made of him.
Alex, as a form, trying to work out a form guide as who's going to win between Charles Martin and Anthony Joshua. Looking at a couple of their better wins, who do you think would win between a fight out of Gary Cornish and Tom Dallas?
I picked Dallas in that, to be honest. I don't know why. It's probably just a bit of a shootout, really, isn't it? Cornish just looked absolutely fucking hopeless. Maybe that's just because Joshua's that much better, and Martin wasn't. Well, I suppose that Dallas were pretty useless against Martin as well. But I mean, I'm struggling to think of any reason why I'm even trying to assess a Tom Dallas versus Gary Cornish fight. I mean, fucking hell. It's probably
Research.
a 50-50, but yeah, I mean, fucking hell.
Their both
Who
best
cares?
wins are probably Kevin Johnson and Glaskov. I mean, even though the mitigating factors there, Johnson was shot and Glaskov was injured. Still probably the best 2 wins on each guy's ledger, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Again, who cares? Glaskov. You would think a Glaskov without a gammy knee, without fucking up his knee as he did, would have easily outpointed Kevin Johnson. Even without the spurious scorecards that he's had in his career. But fuck me. And again, we've said at the start, Martin's victory over Glaskov is hardly convincing at all.
Fuck. Donny, Next Big Pod is asking, Eddie can obviously get the big American names over. How come he's been lying to Kell Brook? That's not what he asked there, actually. He actually says, why has he been lying to the cocksucker?
I mean, I just think, like I said, it's as simple as, Anthony Joshua is a huge pay-per-view seller that generates the kind of money where you can afford to bring over big opponents. And I don't think that Kell Brook does. Well, I mean, it's not that I don't think he does. He just doesn't. I mean, to compare Kell Brook and to compare Anthony Joshua, I mean, you're talking about not just levels. I mean, you're talking about stratospheres in terms of their popularity, pay-per-view sales ability, at least at the present time. So I mean, if Kell was selling those kind of pay-per-views, of course he could bring over Americans. But since he isn't, that's why he either has to go over to America, which Eddie didn't want to do, or they were going to be completely reliant upon Khan, and now that blew up in their face. So I don't think this shows that he's capable of bringing over big American fighters. I think it shows that Anthony Joshua is capable of generating enough money such that you can bring over guys from the United States.
He says smugly.
What
Dave,
was that?
you said smugly. Dave, George Reynolds asks, ignore the belt is on the line for a second. Is Martin a good enough step up in level for AJ?
Well, I have no trouble ignoring that the belt is on the line because it's not actually a belt. It's a piece of paper and plastic shit. As far as him being a step-up opponent, I think yes. He's a question mark who proved at least that he could hang with Glaskov on a relatively even level. I thought he was winning for 2 rounds. So I think it's an okay fight. Both guys are around the same level. Both guys are unproven. I'm glad to see the fight, and I'm somebody who does not care at all about the belt.
Tommy Ricky Gravel's asking, based on quality and quantity of champions, what is the UK's best fight city?
What do you see? It's going to be probably Manchester, isn't it? Liverpool maybe a close second. That.
Joe Gallagher will love that one.
Yeah.
Wolverhampton.
On the topic of Joe Gallagher, Ozzy Smith says, when does a prospect stop being a prospect? Sick of seeing Joe Gallagher mention the likes of Burton and Callum Johnson when they're in their late 20s.
I don't think age has anything to do with being a prospect.
I think Callum Johnson was, have problems with Frank Warren or something.
Aye, he's had promotional issues, hasn't he? Yeah.
Okay, last question then, this is quite a hard one. Who would you put in your PBC only top 5 pound for pound list, lads? The PBC fighters only. So
Thurman.
I'll throw out some names. We've got Sakio Bika, Berto, Terbiev, Cloner, Bute, Charlo Brothers.
You're picking all the shit names first.
Does Adonis Stevenson count because he fights on PBC and Showtime?
Yeah, he's got to be.
Butarel Brothers, PG
Stevenson's
Flores,
got to be there.
Porter,
Thurman.
Frampton, Garcia,
Thurman, Khan.
Broner.
DeGale.
Amir
Jamel
Khan.
Herring.
You missed that one out, Donny.
What?
You missed Amir Khan out.
Well, yeah. The question is he really an Amir? Is he really an Al Heyman fighter? He's kind of like.
No, he's on the list as the PBC.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
never fought on PBC though, has he?
Aye,
Yeah, he fought Algeria.
Because that was Showtime, wasn't it?
No, it was in Spike,
No.
mate, or
Oh,
NBC
fair
or something.
enough, fair enough.
Was Spike or Fox, one of them is?
Sean Porter, Santa Snooze, Lee Selby, Spence,
They probably
Antonio
have.
Tarver. I tell you what, Antonio Tarver had a fucking bad week, eh? We'll get on to that later on, though.
I suppose you've got to pick.
Wilder,
Trying to make
Wilder.
a list. Stevenson's got to be on there.
Wilder.
We know where Stevenson would be for Adam Smith. He'd be
On his knees.
Stevenson, Santa Cruz. This isn't in any order.
Gary Russell Jr.
Wilder.
Well, actually, Gary Russell Jr. hasn't fought on PBC yet, has he? We just expected he would.
Yeah. Porter.
Porter maybe. I don't know. Thurman maybe. He hasn't really beaten anyone.
He was
Dominic.
PBT Fighter of the Year, wasn't he, Thurman?
Dominic
Yeah, he
Briswell.
Erislan De Lara, he fought. He came in and
Yep.
fought on it.
Yeah.
The Magic Man, Polly
There's a
Malanaji.
lot of decent names, really, isn't there, if you think about it? Let's give
Yeah,
the BBC their due.
Yeah, decent names, but again, are they? Well,
None of the
hard
elite.
to-
There's none of
yeah,
the elite.
exactly. It's hard to pin any single one of them as really elite.
I'm going to take a stab at it and put Leo Santa Cruz as number one.
Yeah,
Clause.
Over Khan?
Yeah. Just a new Donny. Just until Amir's dealt with Canelo. We could put Amir
You're
number one, eh?
no, Tommy, you're not really buying into Khan beating Canelo.
Nah, mate, nah. Listen, I'm a massive Amir Khan fan, and I think this is just a bit too much for him, I'd say, personally. Like,
Oh, fuck.
middleweight, you know.
Now that ends the Twitter question. Just got a couple of topics of debate here for Belly of the Week, and then a wee bit of history section as well, and then very briefly on the fight of next week, which is not really much. But Kevin Mitchell has announced his retirement from boxing after
Oh, what a shame.
But fucking time.
he retires with a record of 39 wins, 4 defeats, with 21
All four by
stoppages.
KO. All four by KO.
Alex likes to remind us of that.
Ricky Burns left hook.
Yeah.
Ricky Burns took his soul, but I just wonder, I suppose seriously this, if he had done everything possible, lived the life at super featherweight, he probably may have picked up a world title, probably got dedicated too late, but then I kind of got the impression off his last interview that even when he was supposed to be dedicated in the latter half of his career, it was nagging him. It was just something he just couldn't really kind of get himself into fully, I suppose, In the end, it just looks like it's one defeat too many, I think, because, the old saying goes, a fully fit and prepared Kevin Mitchell would beat anybody, but I think he's had his chances, guys, and, decent career, I suppose, but...
Was there no talk of him going for a European title maybe a month or so ago?
He was to fight Eris Tatley in Finland, and then a week later he retired,
Nah.
He just doesn't take big punches that well. I don't think even if he was fully prepared and fit in his fights, he would be an elite fighter.
He aged as well. He aged a lot, didn't he? Do you remember the fresh-faced 19-year-old or whatever he was coming on the scene on ITV and knocking out people left, right and centre? And towards the end, he really did look like someone who'd had a hard life and been grizzled by the business. I was surprised he didn't win a world title. I mean, if you don't win a world title in this era, then you must be really doing something wrong because they're giving him away in Christmas crackers at the moment. But he probably should have done. Whenever he knocked out Carl Johansson at the time, I thought that he was sort of odds on. And then I know he had the Katsidis fight and a lot of preparational issues, problems outside of the ring. Just it wasn't to be for Mitchell, but he was an exciting fighter in his day, especially during the Frank years.
I said this earlier in the week that the amount of shots that he's had, the promoter that he's got, with how shit the division is at lightweight at the moment, it really is a fucking amazing achievement that he never got a world title. I mean, he really fucked it up, didn't he? I mean, I think the biggest downfall was the Linares fight. That really, I think, sapped it from him. He gave it, he really tried hard for that, but obviously Linares just proved too much for him. And I'll give him credit. I've always enjoyed watching Kev's fights. They're usually very entertaining, mostly because of his own foibles and his own flaws. I think we all enjoyed the Katsidis fight. That was quite a spectacle, I think.
Well, see, the thing always strikes me about that. I mean, the only about the fact is he wasn't fit and fully prepared going into that fight. No, I know some of the shit that apparently was going on before that fight, but see, even if he had been fully prepared, when that fight happened, you seen the fucking it was like man against boy, man. Katsidis was a fucking monster that night against him.
He was. He was really. I mean,
Huge.
fair play to Kevin. He beat fucking Prescott just before that, didn't he? I mean, that was a fucking brilliant win for him. That was, especially after what Prescott did to Khan. Kevin should have probably done a lot more with his career, but fucking he came up against a pure wrecking ball in Katsidis, and he just got fucked up. And then obviously fighting Sir Ricky Burns, first ballot Hall of Famer Ricky Burns, did no chance. So it is what it is.
I think it's really a lot of bullshit, man. They never claimed any excuses when he was fucking winning, did they?
No. There's always been an excuse for those four defeats.
He could have trained with fucking Mickey and chased fucking chickens about, man, and he'd have still got knocked out if he could see this, you know what I mean?
Right. Also, apparently, I don't know whether to believe the cunt or not, because you just never know what this. One day he's lying, one day he's not. But according to Fight Hype, Bob Arum has claimed that the fight is done and signed. All he needs is really a venue or a network. So actually, he needs a network. But anyway, Bob Arum claims that Vasily Lomachenko will face off against Nicholas Walters.
Oh.
No.
That's a sexy fight, that.
It's about time,
fight.
man.
Good fight. Now, I just wondering, obviously, the weight. Was the talk after Walter's last fight was at 120, no, 130. Was there no talk after that fight about moving back down on weight?
They says they were wanting to move back to 126, and there was
good.
Seemingly he was going to stay at 130, so I've got a funny, sneaky feeling this fight might be about maybe 128 or 129, maybe.
Good fight, though. I mean, I see a few picking Walters on this one. I see Walters getting picked by a few people.
Loma's just going to school him.
Yeah.
I mean...
Anybody picking Walters?
I like Walters. I think he's a really good fighter. I think that he's got a serious dig about him, but I just don't think he's not even a quarter of the talent that Lomachenko's got. I think he's just going to get absolutely schooled. Obviously he could land that miracle punch, and the range and the physical attributes of Walters is something that Lomachenko's got to figure out. But he's that smart and he's that gifted. He will figure it out. When Rigondeaux versus Walters was sort of tossed up in the air a little bit, I would have picked Walters in that purely because he's just that fucking big and that that physicality about him. But Lomachenko, a much bigger man, a much man more suited for the weight and moving up in the weights, I think. So yeah, I just think Lomachenko would school him.
Any boys want to weigh on with this one?
I'm pretty much on board with Alex. I think I like Walters too. I think he's got a really good jab. He's a good puncher, but Lomachenko's really got too many elements to his game, hasn't he?
Is Walters still looking to jump ship? What's going on with him? I know he hasn't fought the last, he's been higher in weight, hasn't he, the last couple of fights, and he had that sort of robbery, and is he still looking to disappear from Arum, or what's his situation?
I thought that his last fight was his last fight with Arum, and that's what the scorecard issue was about. A lot of people were claiming conspiracy and things like that, saying, "Oh, this is what you get for trying to jump ship from Arum. You get a fucking, a blemish on your record." But obviously not if this fight's being bandied about.
Well, I'm a Lomachenko fan as well, but I wouldn't be surprised, if the chin does get checked, this is what we need to see with Lomachenko. I mean, he has got good defence, good foot movement, good boxing skills. We do know he has got that. He's got that sneaky way of getting inside. Actually, kind of roll. But the southpaw stance, he kind of rolls under the person's like. If you're an orthodox fighter, he basically rolls under the jab and stuff, and he comes back with a kind of like short left hook to the body.
Was he ever badly hurt in the amateurs?
Well, I'm working through some of it just now, and I've never seen him hurt as such, but I have seen at least one fight dodgy decision, because I think it went to a count back. I'll need to go back and get the exact fight for you, but he was
He never
struggling
stays still long enough for anyone to hit him. He's flipping all over the place, really.
Yeah.
Well, he got that dodgy decision against Gary Russell Jr.
Then fuck, he won that fight.
99 times out of 100.
Aye.
Could be right.
One of the judges scored a draw or something.
Yeah, it was a Heyman judge.
Terrible. Also, today marks the 65th anniversary of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, just for you boxing heads and historians out there. I've got a copy of this fight actually, and I see ESPN have showed it in a really good quality format as well. So if you can get a hold of it, it's well worth a watch. But I remember LaMotta claiming that he says if the referee had held up another 30 more seconds, he reckoned that Ray would have collapsed from hitting him. It was pretty savage, the ending actually. The legend has it that in order to try and kind of deal with the pain and keep himself going, his corner was giving LaMotta brandy in between rounds. So apparently fighting drunk, whatever, but savage fight.
Oh, he was fucking mental, wasn't he, LaMotta? I mean, very hard man, double hard bastard.
Yeah, double hard bastard, sadomasochist, wife beater, fucking liked them young as well, like Adam Johnson and stuff like that. But hell of a fighter.
He's still alive and doing well.
He's still alive, right?
Still alive, man.
I can't believe that.
What do you think about LaMotta and his pomp in today's middleweight division? Because we always go about how middleweight's actually very light, no depth to it. What do you think about LaMotta in today's division?
He'd fight Golovkin.
Well, I fight Golovkin.
It's an absolute war with Golovkin, wouldn't it? Because Golovkin ain't fucking stoked him, is he?
LaMotta was a good boxer. He wasn't just a chin. Like, he could really set his shots up well, and he didn't just lose to Robinson 5 times. He gave him hell.
Yeah.
At least 3 of the 6 fights. I didn't see them all, but from what I've heard and what I've seen, he really held his own, and some of those were split decisions.
It was a good fight. He lacked a wee bit of power, didn't he? So that's pretty much.
Yeah. Remember was it the Sedan fight? Well, what fight was it? He was losing, and he turned around and won it.
Was that the Marcel Sedan fight for the title?
No, they don't knock him out in about the 7th or 9th round or something. They had the rematch, and Sedan died in the flight over to America at the time. Oh, what fight was it? He was losing. No, it was the French guy. What was it? Laurent something. Remember, he was losing the fight right up to the fucking 15th round and knocked the guy out with like 17 seconds to go.
Marcel Sedan was fucking French, wasn't he?
I saw LaMotta at the
guy who died in the plane crash, Andy?
No, it wasn't him, mate. I think it was the one. I think it was his first defence to the title. I think as world champion, and he was getting beat. He was widely behind on the scorecards going into the last round, and he stopped the guy in the 15th. I'm trying to find his name just now, so keep talking amongst yourselves till I find it.
I saw LaMotta at the 2011 inductions to the Hall of Fame. He looks like one of those busts that you would see sculpted, like his.
Laurent Daffiello.
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's the one, mate.
French,
That's the one.
No, I've
Cheers for
not actually seen that fight, man.
Well, that's the one he won the title in, isn't it? That one, wasn't it?
Is either he won the title in it, or it was his first defence to the title?
That was his first defence, because he won the title against Sedan.
That's it, because the Sedan rematch was to happen after it, and then Sedan died in the plane crash. That's what it was.
He famously threw a fight too to some.
He had to throw the fight. He had to throw the fight to get the title shot, didn't he? That's you could.
Aye, that's the rumour at least. He threw a title fight against.
Threw a fight. Yeah, he admitted that years later, didn't he?
Yeah, he said he was fighting the guy, and he knew he was supposed to lose, but he still threw a few punches, and the guy was out on his feet, so he decided You better just go out now.
Right.
Obviously the winner of that was obviously slated to fight Joey Maxim, wasn't it? I think that they mentioned that Robinson. Well, Robinson was the one that was obviously slated to fight him, and they expected him to win it, as he did. But I think they wasn't Lamotta under the impression he was gonna fight Maxim as well. I'm not sure.
I always remember Lamotta, or I always remember reading about Lamotta that he could never, he was, you know, mentally he was always disturbed that he couldn't get up to heavyweight and challenge for like what he considered was like the biggest prize, you know, and that was fighting Joe Louis, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a famous scene in the Raging Bull where he says, "You know something? I'm better than them." He's referring to Lewis.
Well, that would have been a fucking check on his chin.
Right, I've got Belly of the Week coming up here. It's fucking dire this week, like no action whatsoever, but Belly of the Week should make up for it. Some amount of moaning cunts fucking follow us on fucking YouTube and stuff like that, eh? Moaning about fucking history section and stuff like that. We've nothing else to talk about. Unless you want us to
Shut the fuck up, mate. Fuck's sake.
unless you want us to talk about Box Nation and stuff like that and Deep Root them or whatever.
Well, we'll talk about the history of Frank Warren. Dab can contribute what Frank Warren's ass smells like, since he's got his head so fucking buried deep up there. Cunt.
Right, first nomination. Again, man, these cunts do it. They do it deliberately. I'm fucking sure of it. Sky Sports news website gets the first nomination this week. Right, they're going about Tyson Fury hints next fight will be against a surprise big name opponent. Now, you just don't know if Fury's at the troll like he likes to do and stuff like that. But anyway, the article goes on and it states here. Where does it say? I fucking lost it, you bastard. I gave it the wee big build up there. You know something? They've actually changed the article.
They've edited it up.
They've edited the article. The fuckers. They've edited the article. They've been fucking quick on the draw this week, so I'll maybe just remove them for that then. Anyways, they put Vladislav Glasgow in there, but they've actually edited the article, so we'll just drop that one. So well done, Sky Sports, for that. So anyway, number 2 goes to Radio Rahim, seconds out interview with Gilberto Ramirez, saying that Arthur Abraham will be bringing his UK fans. Jesus Christ, man! What is it with Americans and fucking geography sometimes?
Actually, I think he probably has a lot of UK fans when he beat the shit out of Paul Smith.
That's true.
Andre Ward.
Team Abraham.
Andre Ward beat the shit out of both Froch and Paul Smith. Bet you guys love him.
Team Ward for life.
Right, Eddie Hearn. Right, no, fucking Jesus, man, this guy. He just claims Carl Frampton versus Scott Quigg is bigger than Froch Groves 2. Right,
So
it says here,
90,000 in Wembley then.
he says here, obviously we're always going to find it difficult to better Froch Groves 2, but I think this fight on a world scale is bigger. Now, I'll need to play this one. This is Antonio Tarver's excuse-ridden speech for failing a drugs test against Steve Cunningham. I'll just play it here, 2 seconds.
And I got to tell you, man, I just left the hearing in New Jersey with the New Jersey State Athletic Commission, and to my dismay, man, they upheld their opinion or their findings that I failed a drug test at my last fight against Steve Cunningham, even though the evidence showed that the only legitimate testing company hired by the New Jersey State Athletic Commission was LabCorp. They tested me 3 times that week of the fight. All tests came back negative of all PEDs, all testosterone, artificial testosterone, all steroids, and all masking agents. But the private company hired by and independently hired by Lou DiBella, who just happened to be the promoter of the show and the promoter of Steve Cunningham, all their tests are claiming that they found something. They still haven't really said how it got in my system. I think they accuse me of using some type of cream or something, but there's no factual basis to their claims. I've asked through my lawyer 4 times for the same samples that they claim are dirty to have them sent so I can have them DNA tested that will either exonerate me or either find me guilty of something. That's the only way I can prove my innocence. They still have ignored my claim for the DNA test, will not allow me to get it tested, claiming that it's no use. Man, I'm here to tell you today that I did nothing wrong for the Cunningham fight, and I'm not going to sit still and idle and let these people destroy my life, claiming that I did something I did not do. When the proof of the fact is, LabCorp is credible. Their test came back negative, saying that, oh, I must be using some sophisticated method that can either beat the generic testing, what they call generic testing from LabCorp, but their sophisticated tests from a private agency that's not official testing company hired by New Jersey State Athletic Commission claims I'm dirty. If it smells like shit, that's what it is. It's a frame job. It's a fucking, I don't know what or who's behind this crap, but all I know is I'm clean. I'm clean.
Oh shit! Bullshit.
Fuck's sake.
I like how he said, I did nothing wrong, and then quickly adds on, for the Cunningham fight.
Aye, what happened again for the brutality fight?
I believe him.
Steve Cunningham came back with a response.
It is fucked up though that they won't let him send it to another company to get a sample tested.
Yeah.
They've got no obligation to do that, though. I mean,
yeah, but they should. Like, I mean, like, how would you feel if you were fighting in Russia and they're like, we won't send it to an American lab to, to have a second test run on it? You'd be fucking pissed off. And I mean, we're just saying it because it's Tarver, because he's done it before, so he probably did it again. But I don't know. Like, I personally would be some skeptical of that. Like, why can't you have it tested again?
Thing is, you just know that this private testing facility is actually just, they've actually went further, probably like hit his testing with
I mean, the
CIR
chemist
test or
testing
whatever
is
it
weak.
is.
They don't do a lot. I mean, yeah, that is true, but I mean, you should be able to get it tested again. That was all I'm saying. Do I think he did steroids or whatever? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying. I mean, at 47, to be able to fight a guy 10 years younger than you to a draw, and you're not Bernard Hopkins, it's going to raise some questions. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm just saying. I think people should always have a right to test things again if they think there's something untoward.
If he was on drugs after that terrible fight as well, I mean, he wants to talk to his supplier.
What shocks me is that
he didn't get the good shit. He didn't get the inside stuff.
Thing is, though, you just know that the way his life's going just now, he can't afford the designer drugs and stuff like that because he's fucking got baby mamas all over the place and stuff.
he's fucking millions in debt, isn't he?
He is
He
fucked.
should have given up with the fighting and kept doing the commentating. At least that was a steady supply of income. But then when he kept fighting, he got popped, and they got rid of him.
Didn't Heyman bail him out from all his gambling debts or something?
Yeah, $200,000 or something like that.
Fuck's sake.
£200,000, but the way he's going to end up sleeping in a cardboard box in Vegas fucking Strip.
The real belly of the week is him thinking that he's relevant enough that anyone would try and frame him. No one gives a fuck about him.
He's got his whole career ahead of him, Alex. Give him some slack.
Mason the Line Dixon.
We need to get a rematch with fucking Rocky for that one. Right, number 5 goes to Larry Holmes for telling Lucas Brown he's got to use his jab to beat Chagayev. Holmes has never seen Lucas Brown fight before.
Well, he's right though. I mean, if he followed Holmes' advice and started actually using the jab, he might not be a pile of shit.
So he needs to get a jab first.
There's a guy on Twitter called The Ringside News. Now, I can only surmise he's either stupid or this is fucking a great troll. But he's basically on the tweets of Kevin Mitchell's retirement. He says, not confirmed that the lightweight sensation has had problems lately. Really hope it's not true. The Hammer is a great of British boxing. Sold out Wembley against Maduma. That speaks volumes.
Fuck's sake.
Boxrec for having Chris Eubank fighting Nick Blackwell twice in a month. I think it's actually twice in 3 weeks, I think. And Shane Mosley. I can't really do it against justice. I need to let this one play itself out. So.
Before you go, last thing. Tell me about how your monkey locked you out of your own house. How did that happen?
I was like in my own apartment. And he knew that I was coming back to get my spankings, but he finally, when I offer backup. He came and opened it up before the other guy came.
How smart is that animal?
He's so smart. He's like a little kid. He's so smart. He's so smart. Please. Thank you.
Shane
Very close.
Mosley going to spank his monkey.
Yeah.
What on earth was that all about?
No, he said he's like, because he locked him out, and he said, you know, he yelled at the monkey through the door that he had to open up or I'm going to come in and give you a spank. It's like, can you imagine you're on the phone with the locksmith and be like, hey, hang on.
I'm going to
If
spank
you
my
don't open
monkey.
up that door, I'm going to spank the monkey.
Shane Mosley got locked out of his house by a monkey.
He's also a father, and he compared his kids to the intelligence of the monkey. That's borderline racist.
Jesus Christ. So
that monkey, he's had that monkey since the 90s.
Sucks.
I've had that monkey since the day he was born. But anyway, any other nominations?
Scott Quigg had a few during that gloves are off thing, apparently. I think he said that he was a more popular fighter than Carl Frampton, and I think he said that people are underestimating my thinking brain.
My thinking brain. Fucking hell, man.
Did Cunningham respond to Tarver's?
He did. I would play it, but it's like 3 minutes long though, eh? But it's quite good stuff, like.
You tell him to suck his black ashy balls.
Nah, he's basically going on about how his life's in turmoil and stuff. He should get it sorted out and don't blame God for us at the next thing and shit like that, you know.
Oh man, did any of you see the Barcelona penalty?
No.
Oh, holy fuck, man. Macy's just ran up. He side-footed it about a yard to his right. And Suarez ran in and fucking tucked it away, man. Just taking the piss now. It's...
Fucking, I hate Barcelona. I hope they get fucking mauled at everything they do. Right, any other nominations? Scott Quigg's been added to the list. Well, guys, wake up, man.
I don't think we've got any other nominations. Apart from that Sky Sports News one, I think.
Yeah, but they've taken it out, so they've obviously known they were getting a nomination for it.
What exactly did they say again, Andy?
It was basically Fury's next options included
Glasgow.
They say Glasgow, and I've went into it and they've actually changed the article, so they've took Glasgow's name out and put Ortiz in.
Fucking casuals.
I was going to say the Sky Sports News one when AJ versus Martin was announced. They said that Anthony Joshua is fighting for a world title quicker than Muhammad Ali did.
Jesus.
This is lovely.
I've got one, Andy. It was sent in by Chris Adams on Facebook. It's from Martin Murray for basically insinuating that fans are ignorant. And he says that Martin Murray had told Steve Bunce that he was interested in the Billy Joe Saunders title fight at middleweight because since moving up to super middle, he's only just realised he has been doing all the dieting wrong and can now easily make middleweight. When a year ago, he chatted the same shit when he moved up to super middleweight, saying he struggled at middleweight and he's a natural super middle. So basically what he's saying is, why not just be honest? You're chasing a belt, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't call the fans' ignorance into question, blah, blah, blah. So Martin Murray has been nominated for Value of the Week.
Okay. Nothing else, so we've got Scott Quigg, Radio Raheem, Eddie Hearn, Antonio Tarver, Larry Holmes, Ringside News, Boxrec, Shane Mosley and Martin Murray. Adam, who gets your vote? You're on mute.
He's not even paying attention.
Adam!
Okay.
Adam's getting a blowjob.
Yo!
Value!
He's balls deep right now.
Yeah, Belly.
I'm voting for Eddie Hearn because he said about the Frampton Quigg fight being bigger than Foxgrove.
Okay, cheers. Cheers for that. So that's Eddie Hearn. Dave.
For me, it's got to be Shane Mosley, locked out of the house by a monkey.
Bonnie.
I know he's not really relevant to boxing anymore, but
Yeah. Donnie.
Yeah, getting locked out of your house by a monkey. It's that's good shit.
This week. Steve.
Yeah, I'm also going to go for Shane Mosley, Andy. Just on a side note as well, Boxrec deserve an honourable mention. I was in favour of the changes they've made recently to their system, but the fact of the matter now that they don't show the result of a fight whenever you click on a fighter's record is a big no-no for me. You have to stop clicking about to try and find out. But
Aye, like the scorecards and that.
yeah, exactly. So I'm not
You've
really
got
sure
to log
about
in
that.
to do it now.
Yeah, it's all gone up the left, but yeah, definitely Shane Mosley.
Okay, Tommy.
I'm going to go with Mosley. I know it's not the most fucked up stuff that's happened to him. Obviously, he's got his title belts, which is hilarious. I wonder if he'd have hit the monkey, would have happened if the monkey had got teared into care. Would that have got his remaining fucking title belts? But aye, Shane Mosley for Spanky's monkey.
The monkey must have been doing the tweets recently because he's really took a turn for the bizarre, hasn't he?
Aye, fucking.
Shane Mosley, well done.
You see, the monkey must have.
I bet you when we text him, he's won the Bailey of the Week, man, he'll act all happy and think it's a bigger. There's something big on it.
Hey, I think the monkey must have learned how to lock Shane out from Jin Mosley.
Yeah.
Anybody see this shit on BoxRec? They, on their pound for pound list, they have Saul Alvarez #1.
Who said that? Who's got number one?
BoxRec.
They do some kind of like weird points ranking system thing. I mean, I remember someone saying that if Khan beats Canelo, he's get something like 500 points or something that would take him pound for pound number 2.
If Khan beats Canelo, I think he would be #1 at like 3 different weight classes, because like 154, middleweight, and welterweight.
Fucking didn't even say that, Donny, man. Jesus Christ, put your member away before we. Right, we'll see if we can get some discussion generated with this history section we've got here now. It's this week in boxing. Obviously, we're just putting this in here because there's really nothing for next week. And I think we're running it so far this week, guys. 1 hour 16 minutes. So I know Tommy's into his history and that as well. So just pile him in and you want to chat about. So this is from the 8th of February to the 14th of February, which is today. So the 8th of February 1888, Ad Wogast was born. 1924, Pancho Villa beat Georgie Marks over 15 rounds to retain the world flyweight title. 1930, Panama Al Brown won a 4-rounder against Johnny Erickson to retain the world bantamweight title. Not many people would have probably seen this guy fight before, but Harold Johnson got knocked out with Jesse Joe Walcott in 3 rounds. 14 years prior, Walcott stopped Phil Johnson, which was actually Harold's father, in 3 rounds.
That's amazing.
Weird there. 1992, this was probably one of the worst decisions at that time. James Toney got a gift victory against David Tiberi over 12 rounds and retained his IBF middleweight title. It took something like 20 years before he finally admitted he actually lost that fight.
He did admit it?
He admitted it, aye. It was just a few years back there he admitted it.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, but did Tiberi not retire after that fight?
He didn't do very much afterwards. He had some other stuff going on, and I guess he went into like another career, I believe.
1997, Prince Nazim Hamed was born. Knocked out Tom Boom Boom Johnson in 8 rounds and wins the IBF featherweight title.
Uppercut, bang.
You would know that one. 9th of February 1940 saw Joe Louis defeat Artie Godoy in 15 rounds to retain the world heavyweight title. It was a split decision victory and classed as Louis's toughest title defence to date. 1953, Vito Antuofermo, ex-world middleweight champion, was born. 1954, Alfonso Zamora born. He was ex-world bantamweight champion and a silver medalist at the 72 Munich Olympics. 1974, Carlos Monzon stops Jose Napoles in 7 rounds to retain the world middleweight title. That was actually a farce because fucking Napoles was tiny compared to him. What the fuck? Something there. You in the toilet, Donny?
No.
Good. Hear water getting poured down the fucking drain there or something going for a pish.
Smido.
1986, Marvin Johnson knocked out Leslie Stewart in 7 rounds, wins the vacant WBA light heavyweight title. This is Johnson's 3rd reign as light heavyweight champion. 1991, Terry Norris beat Sugar Ray Leonard to retain the WBC super welterweight title. It was a sad state of Leonard, wasn't it? 2000, so the legendary Hall of Famer Bow Jack, 78, passed away at a nursing home in Florida after complications of Parkinson's disease. Jack, who twice held the world lightweight title in the 1940s, holds the Madison Square Garden record for 21 main events there. 2008, Carlos Quintana defeated Paul Williams. That was a big upset, if I remember rightly.
I'm right, it was.
10th of February 1908, Tommy Burns knocks out Jack Palmer in 4 rounds to retain the world heavyweight title in London. 1917, Harry Gregg defeats Mike Gibbons. Sorry, it was a no decision. Against Mike Gibbons. That obviously something if it went the distance or something. Probably a side deal. Side deal.
Was there no a newspaper decision or that?
It just says ND, mate, ND6. So I'm assuming that was a no decision because Gregg lasted a distance or something like that. I don't know. Like never knocked the guy out or something. 1979, Miguel Canto defeats Antonio Avila in 15 rounds to retain the WBC flyweight title. Canto was probably an all-time great. 1992, Donna, this will be news to your ears. Mike Tyson, 25 years of age, is convicted of rape in the Marion County Supreme Court. He would subsequently serve 3 years of a 6-year sentence.
Shame.
2007 seen Sugar Shane Mosley defeat Luis Collazo. It was Shane's first fight at welterweight in 5 years, and former flyweight bantamweight world champion Fighting Harada beats former WBC super welterweight champion Koichi Wajima to become president of the Japanese Professional Boxing Association. 11th of February 1909, Max Baer was born. 1916, Sam Langford defeats Harry Willis by knockout in the 19th round. Willis would lose his world-coloured heavyweight title claim in this fight. 1949, Willie Pep defeats Sammy Sadler over 15 rounds. Pep wins by 10-5, 9-6, 9-5-1 on the scorecards in a Fight of the Year candidate. 1983, Marvelous Marvin Hagler defeats Tony Simpson in 6 rounds to retain his middleweight title. 1990, Donny again, James Buster Douglas defeats Mike Tyson in 10 rounds. It was a 43 to scores the greatest upset in sports history.
Yeah.
12th of February 1966, Vicente Saldivar defeats Floyd Patterson in 2 rounds and retained the world featherweight title. So he's a good fighter, actually.
Jeez, February was a bad fucking month to be Mike Tyson. Convicted of rape and knocked out by Buster Douglas.
1971, Ken Buchanan defeats Ruben Navarro in 15 rounds to retain the world lightweight title in Los Angeles. 1974, Prince Nazim Mohammed was born. This one will be your one, Tommy. 13th of February 1917, fireman Jim Flynn knocks out Jack Dempsey in 1 round. 1987, Video Bassa defeats Hilario Zapata in 15 rounds to win the WBA flyweight title. 1993, this is a fucking great fight. James lights out Tony, knocks out Aram Bartley in 9 rounds to win the IBF super middleweight title. You want to see about infighting, how to fight inside and defend inside, this is the fight to watch. It was a fucking brilliant.
Was that a great fight or more like just a great beatdown? I mean, that was kind of sad.
It was a surgeon at work in that fight, wasn't it? Just pure savagery. 1997, the former world welterweight champion Don Jordan, 62, dies in San Pedro, California nursing home. He'd been in a coma since September 1996 when he was brutally beaten and robbed in the Los Angeles parking lot. 1999, Richie Woodall defeats Vincenzo Nardiello in 6 rounds to retain the WBC super middleweight title.
Future Robert Reed victim, Reed won his title against him, didn't he?
That's right, in Italy, yeah, that's right.
About this fight, 1999, Oscar De La Hoya defeats Ike Quartey in 12 rounds to retain the world welterweight title.
Good fight.
De La Hoya won.
Yeah,
Quartey won that fight.
No, he didn't. Quartey won that fight. Come on.
I thought the knockdown in the last round for De La Hoya clinched it, to be honest.
Oh, I thought De La Hoya won that too, yeah.
No, Quartey, I think it was something like 114, 111 or something like that to Quartey.
Good fight, yeah.
Where are we? 14th of February, it's today, 1916, seen Jimmy Wiles stop Joe Simmons in 12 rounds to retain the world flyweight title. Jack Dempsey gets his revenge over Jim Flynn by knocking him out in the rematch in 1918.
Was that the second round?
That was the first round, mate.
First round.
Most people think I'm not interested in say most people, but a lot of people think the first one was a fix anyways, but...
1945, Chester Slider defeats Henry Armstrong in 10th round. It was Armstrong's final fight. Finishes his career with a record of 152 wins, 21 defeats, 8 draws, and 100 knockouts.
Right, I know.
Bonkers.
Jimmy Wild had something like fucking 100 knockouts that we know of as
Yeah,
a professional
yeah.
legend, but he had something like 400 fights and like the boxing booths and stuff like that. I don't know, did anybody catch the Jim Driscoll documentary on the Welsh channel just a couple of weeks back?
Nah.
There's a Welsh channel?
Yeah.
First I've heard it as well, man. Is it
Probably.
51.
BBC Wales on Sunday, aye?
No, mate, it was that SC4, I think it is.
S4C. Yeah.
That one, it was on that channel. 1951, Sugar Ray Robinson, as we discussed, defeated Jake LaMotta, stoppage in the 13th round. It was the second St Valentine's Day massacre. The sixth and final fight between these two, with Ray Leonard winning the series at 5-1. 1973, Muhammad Ali defeated Joe Bugner in 12 rounds. And in 2002, New York jury awards World Heavyweight Champion Lennox Lewis $8 million in damages in his lawsuit with former promoter and manager Panos Elades.
Yeah.
And that takes us into the fight schedule for next week, gentlemen, which is Felix Sturm against Fedor Chudinov rematch. I can hear you buzzing for it. So that's it, guys.
118-110 again.
That is it. I mean, there's nothing. It's really dragged on this week. We've really tried our best to try and keep fucking shit moving, but it's getting hard.
Getting hard when it's a dry season, but next week we'll be able to talk about fucking...
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't we just jump the gun and just start talking about Quig Frampton now? We can continue it next week.
Because I've got to listen to it next week. It's going to be Overdrive next week with Sky Sports News, Eddie Hearn on Twitter, Joe Gallagher, Master Sensei, and all that shit, you know.
Don't worry, lads. We've got fucking Sturm versus Chudinov 2 to talk about next week.
Fuck yeah.
What channel's that on? Do we get that on Box Nation or anything? I suppose they don't show them now, do they?
It's on SAT in Germany, so the streams.
That's Box Nation, yeah.
Will it be Box Nation, right?
I think so, yeah.
I might watch that then.
Well, literally, because it's the only thing that's on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have to spend the night with the missus, otherwise, flip me.
So, anything else you want to chat about, guys? Fire away.
Yeah, let me just say something, Andy. You perked my interest during all that talking you were doing about on this day, and you reminded me of a fighter who I'd actually forgotten about. I'm a great one for the obscure. You said Carlos Quintana beat Paul Williams.
Aye.
And I'd forgotten all about this guy, and I just bought his box rec up. I'd forgotten about Carlos Quintana. Beat Joel Julio as well, who was quite a touted prospect at the time.
Oh man, Julio was really fucking touted.
Do you remember that? Quintana absolutely schooled him, and then he went on to fight Miguel Cotto, fair play, retired. Then he took Williams' unbeaten record. Then he got knocked out by Williams. He got knocked out by an unbeaten Berto. Then he got knocked out by an unbeaten Thurman. Then he retired. But I liked Quintana. I thought he was a good fighter.
Well, he came back and beat the fucking Mayweather fighter, didn't he? What's his name?
Yeah, Lattimore or something?
Lattimore,
yeah.
The thing is, do you not remember the fucking rematch with Paul Williams?
Aye, he was splatting around.
No, he fucking jumped out the ring.
No, that was Cintron.
That was Kim Cintron.
That was Cintron, yeah.
Was it Cintron? Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. He got knocked down about 5 times. Or was that by Margarito? I can't remember. I'm getting mixed up now. Did Margarito knock out Cintron as well?
Aye, he knocked him out twice.
Made him quit twice.
Yeah.
Badass story. I remember that Williams fight, man. Fucking hell. But Paul Williams, he obviously always had trouble with southpaws, didn't
he? Yeah.
Couldn't deal with him.
So, that being that, I'll probably just end it there. There's nothing else to chime in about. So, I'd like to thank the panel. Dave the Hater, Tommy Allen, Donny Baseball, Alex Morris, the award-winning Steve Wellington.
Yeah!
Yeah, baby. You let that be forgotten, mate. I want to see that on your CV.
Okay.
Steve, see you went in the ring, mate. Did you actually just think about us when you got in there and just lifted up your award and said,
no, the only thing that I was thinking about was, please don't fall over. I had big shoes on.
All feet like. Anyways, I'm host Danny Patterson. Have a good week. We'll see you next week. If we can try and get something combo together for a show. Have a good week. All the best. Cheers.
Rest in peace, Kurt Ward.
War Charles Martin.